Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. Today we're going to review Undead Development, a base building zombie survival game for VR. It released out of early access January 13th, 2021 by developer Master Strike and Ladrick Dev. It's available for the Valve Index, HTC Vive, Oculus Rift, and Windows Mixed Reality. It normally retails for $17.99. This game actually originally released back on October 2017, and I actually bought it back in October of 2017. I paid a little over $15, and I was really hopeful for this game. When it first came out in early access, it looked like it would be developed into a really good game. Basically, we all want Call of Duty Zombies for VR, and it seemed like this game really had the developer to bring through that promise to VR. Unfortunately, that promise was not kept, and basically this game was released out of early access with less than its full potential. It doesn't mean it's a horrible game. In my opinion, Undead Development is just a mediocre game for VR. I would say buy on deep sale only. It has some merit, but it definitely falls short of the promise of being Call of Duty Zombies for VR. It's just too basic, it's too outdated, and while there is some fun to be had, this game does have a lot of issues that you have to overlook in order to enjoy this game. If you can't look past those issues, you will not enjoy this game at all. So this is buy on deep sale only recommendation for me. Anyways, let's talk about Undead Development. I tested Undead Development out of early access on the Oculus Quest 2 using the Oculus Link cable. I've read some reviews that this doesn't work on the Oculus Rift. I cannot confirm or deny those since my Oculus Rift is kaput. But I can definitely say on the Oculus Quest 2 using the Oculus Link cable, I had no problems at all playing this game. Undead Development is running on the Unity engine. On my RTX 3080, I was getting variable frame rates. For the most part, it was running at 90 frames per second. However, there were several times in the game where the frame rates would drop, whether it was to 60 frames per second or 45 frames per second, but it would happen especially when there were lots of zombies in the wave. So obviously this game does need some optimization. It should be running fine on my RTX 3080. This is not the most detailed game. The visuals are not the best, so it should be running pretty good on my RTX 3080. Unfortunately, when there are lots of enemies on screen, it just doesn't run very well, and I'm not sure if that will ever be fixed. Undead Development does have full locomotion, as well as smooth and snap turning options, as well as a teleportation option. Now, even if you use full locomotion, there are times where you will need to teleport in order to get to certain areas, which due to the terrain, due to some pathing issues, you'll need to teleport there, but it's not a big issue. Plus, you move a lot faster when you teleport, so there may be times where you want to teleport. Now, when you're in a wave of zombies, you do have a cooldown on the teleportation, but outside of that, you can teleport as fast as you want. There are 8 maps available to defend, and I believe that basically you have to survive at least 2 waves before you can unlock the next map, and I believe you have to get maybe to the 5th level before you can unlock the night version of that map. The night version obviously is just a lot scarier, it's harder to see, so it just makes it more difficult, and definitely does add a flavor to this game when it's nighttime versus the usual daytime, where you don't have an issue with having to use lights and whatnot. There's also 70 pieces of loot and 30 unique weapons to use in this game. That's probably the best thing about Undead Development, is all the variety with the weapons, with the base building. Even though the AI isn't very good and the core gameplay isn't really all that great in my opinion, I did like that there's lots of weapons to unlock and there's different ways to play this game. It does keep it interesting. It definitely kept me wanting to keep playing this game, to try some of those new weapons that you unlock later on. I was really excited to use the chainsaw. Unfortunately, once I started using it, I found out that it's not all that great just because it runs out of gas really quickly, and there's just better melee weapons to use. But there's other stuff such as a grenade launcher, spike defenses, There's the revolver. There's all kinds of really cool weapons that you unlock as you go on in this game, and makes the survival just a little bit easier once you unlock those things. So you definitely do have the motivation to keep going in this game, even when the core gameplay itself just isn't a whole lot of fun. And you see that in my video. This is a video of me doing the sewer level, and I had to cut out a lot of the footage just because it was going on too long. The core gameplay is just a little bit too repetitive. As you can see from my gameplay, the ore that I was using was a little overpowered. Basically, I was just beheading zombies left and right with that melee weapon, and it was just so powerful that it just made even the base building not necessary at all. The base building here could have been something special, but it turns out in practice it's not very useful, just because you have some very powerful weapons that you can unlock, and you just mow down zombies so fast that you don't really need to fortify your base. When you're first starting out and things are pretty slow and you don't have good weapons, yeah, it does help to fortify your base to slow down those zombies so that you can take them out one by one. But once you get some powerful weapons, there really is no need at all to fortify any of your base, and the process of fortifying your base just isn't very fun. It's very janky, it's not polished. If you see me trying to put the base together, it just wasn't a polished experience at all. It was frustrating, it wasn't fun, and that's even with stuff like spike defenses and even metal stuff you can get later on. It just really was never fun, plus it just was never necessary, because like I said, by that time that you get those kind of defenses, you already have weapons that are way overpowered where you're just mowing down zombies left and right. And the problem is that this game just really depends on just bringing more and more zombies to the map versus making the game any more strategic, or having to build your defenses carefully, or having to get to the right spot of your defenses, you know, having zombies go into a certain area. It never becomes strategic at all. Really, I could just use my melee weapon all day and night, and usually it just came down to the fact that some of the weapons were a little difficult to reload, and I think that might have been a tracking issue, I'm not sure, but it just seemed that sometimes I had to try maybe 2 or 3 times before my weapon would reload. The way that you reload weapons is you just put it near your tool belt, just drop it down and it should automatically reload, but sometimes I just had to try that several times before it would actually reload, and sometimes that just causes you to take a lot of damage, and that's how you end up dying. That's how I ended up dying. I tried to reload some of my weapons, they just didn't reload, and then I was stuck with so many zombies on screen that it was just a deadly pause there of the weapon. If I had just been using melee all the time, it probably would have been fine. But yeah, you can take a lot of damage from some of the zombies that get too close. The exploding zombie, for example, you probably want to be able to shoot it whenever you can, otherwise you take a lot of damage. If it wasn't for that though, there would be no reason ever to use a firing weapon at all. You could always use your melee weapons if it wasn't for that one exploding zombie that comes on the map. So if I have to rate this game, I would give it a 5.5 out of 10. I think it does have some merit. I did have some fun. I definitely like the research system and how you unlock different weapons depending on what path you took, or different defenses, and that's pretty cool. I like that. Unfortunately, the zombies themselves were just pretty dumb, and the AI is terrible, and it's just a matter of being overwhelmed with the amount of zombies on screen versus any kind of real strategy. The base building ends up not being terribly useful at all. So this game definitely had a lot of potential, but I just don't think it delivered on that potential. I still think there's some fun to be had, but I definitely would say buy this on a deep sale only. Don't pay full price like me. I paid 15 bucks. I think that was way too much for this when it first came out. I think the lowest price for this game has been $7.19, and I think that would be the right price for what you're getting here. It's just a little too basic. It doesn't have the depth necessary for this type of gameplay, and it's just a little janky overall. It's lacking a lot of polish, but like I said, there is some fun to be had. Anyways, I'm Fast Lawyer. If you like my review, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, have a wonderful day. Goodbye.